Hey, Ali, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you guys. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Yeah.
Same to you.
How's Mexico?
Hi, Andre. How are you?
I'm good. How's Mexico treating you?
Oh, it's really very good. All warm and nice and sunny.
How does Mexico feel at the moment?
It's pretty good. It feels fine. There was a little bit of a heavy energy on the 25th, which shifted today a bit. So there was quite a bit of heavy energy I felt on the 25th, 24th, 25th.
Yeah, that's all that cabal energy raising for Christmas.
Yeah, no kidding.
Andre just called it, the Christmas harvest.
The Christmas
Yeah.
milking.
Yeah, the Christmas milking.
Yeah, I felt that it wasn't good.
So, did you like the document I sent you?
Yeah, I read it through. It's full on, and it's good.
For
Yeah, I
2
liked
days
it.
afterwards, all I could go was, "Oh boy, what did I create? Oh boy."
How's the co-creation going with Andrew?
Incredible. So we read the document out by the ceremonial fire the other day, and it
Oh
just
wow!
amazing energies. And then when Mandy went to go read it, halfway through she stopped and looked at me because all this stuff was going on in the spirit world, and I'm like, "That's all you. That's not me." And for like 2 minutes, she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "That's all you." The responses that we've had from doing that in high energy, that consciousness strike, it's mind blowing.
Oh, 7 pages. Yeah.
3,500 words, yeah, was what it took to define a consciousness strike against the whole universe. That's usually
Yeah.
the process.
Yeah, I felt a lot of this morning. I couldn't sleep last night at all. Like maybe later in the day, but I felt like almost like peeling an onion. I was feeling that different layers of my outer body was just dissolving, and like even there within me there are different kind of entities and beings, and they were kind of, some of them were leaving, some of them were coming back and leaving and going in and out, and the past karmic things that I had were just going in and out of phase. It was like peeling an onion and going back into my core.
Yeah.
And what is my really sole purpose is for the new year that I have to get into, and don't be afraid to step into that, authentic self that I am. And that's what I felt that is happening right now. But it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's a progress, so it's just really shifting into it.
Yeah. So what I call that feeling you're describing is you're changing citizenship.
Okay.
So you're accepting your global, galactic, or universal citizenship.
Oh, he lost me.
Yeah, he'll be back. Ba-da-ding.
Sorry, I don't hear till you're changing citizenship.
So yeah, so what I call that is what your experience is a changing citizenship. You're accepting your global citizenship, your galactic citizenship, or your universal citizenship. And that's why you have light bodies changing forms and shapes and redefining what's going on.
Yeah. It's
So the advanced part of the separation of density teachings that I've been talking about for 4 years now that only a handful of people truly understand. The SOD teachings.
it takes a lot of courage, like to go into that route, because you pretty much gonna dissolve all your karmic things and just step into your authentic power. But I mean, that's the only way to go in this age, like 2000, and this year. That's the only way really to survive in here.
That's right. We cannot do it the ways that history's past, because history's past did not succeed that way.
Yeah.
The definition of an insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Absolutely.
That's what science does. Repeat process, repeat process, repeat process.
Yeah. It's an interesting energy in Mexico. I had somebody giving me a big smile. That's a good sign. Yeah, I don't know how to define it. It's kind of, there's a different etheric matrix here. Like we got something in Canada that kind of entangles us. The only way that I found that I can go above it is to be on the airplane. And when I'm on the airplane, I'm out of that matrix grid that they have around in North America. And when I come in South America, there is a different matrix. It's less than North America though, so it's you can tune in more into the your essence down in South America, but there's still a big matrix down here that is playing out.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah. They're pretty much covered all over the world, I would say. So unless you fly out of the atmosphere, up in the air, that's the only place I feel peace, like truly peace with myself.
Nice. So Andre had 120 degree weather in Australia.
Wow.
So he's a baked lobster.
Yeah,
Oh.
I went to the beach on my Christmas Eve, and I was just about to leave, and this guy from Croatia, he came up to me and asked me, "Oh, are there sharks in the water here? Do we have to worry about sharks?" And I was like, "Nah, mate. Like, see all those planes flying over? They spot sharks, you know." And he's actually like like from Croatia, and he'd been living in Melbourne for a few years. And basically, he started talking to me and stuff. That was an excuse to start talking to me, and I talked to him for half an hour on the beach, and I was about to leave, and I got really burnt. So, the beaches in my city, they wash up quartz crystal blocks, like where they blocks of crystal. And I like to go to the beach on different times and different days, because after the various weather, they reveal like maybe layers of the crystals in the sand that haven't been revealed before. So I just went down there and I wanted to collect some crystals. I collect a whole bag of them, and long story short, he was very into all the. I dropped a few things like the Bosnian pyramids and stuff, and he told me about this area where there's like carvings in caves, and they line up to the stars and stuff. And his kids were actually very much into crystals, so I gave him the whole bag of crystals I got.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like he was only in Adelaide for Christmas and 4 days with his family and stuff, and he was going back to Melbourne, and I was like, yeah, I know Melbourne needs a lot of work, so I've got some crystals over there, and I just gave him the whole bag. And his kids looked in them and they're like, oh, they're gold, look at them. Like the kids are actually pretty intuitive, you know. So I just said like put them under your head and when you sleep, or put them around your house, you know. So that was quite interesting, but I got really burnt. So Christmas Day it was 120 degrees and I wasn't that comfortable. But
Baked lobster.
yeah,
It was garlic butter. No.
Andy obviously is like craving seafood.
Yes. So instead of a shrimp on the Barbie, it was an Andre on the Barbie.
Which city do you live, Andre?
I live in Adelaide, which is like in the middle, south of Ayers Rock.
Oh, okay. South of Ayers Rock. Okay. How far are you till to go to the Ayers Rock?
Ayers Rock's right in the middle, so if you imagine the coast south of Ayers Rock, it's a couple of thousand kilometres. But that's one thing. That's one thing here. Ayers Rock got flooded on Christmas Day. There was like massive like waterfalls coming off Ayers Rock. Did you guys hear about
Well,
that?
that's
Like Ezra got flooded.
No, I didn't hear about that.
Doesn't it like not rain there ever?
Yeah. I was there last Christmas. We did work on Christmas Day last year, and it was like 39, like 120 with 80% humidity and blue skies. You know, because there was a big cyclone or like the hurricanes that we get here on the west coast, and it came. We're under it now. That's why we're so humid here.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like Ali, I felt like there were solar flares, and that's what's making it different at the moment.
Mhm.
So, when
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
That's what I was saying too. I was saying that I have this feeling that there's something going on with Mother Earth. Not as a fear thing, but some major shift is happening. There's something unique is about to happen. Ali, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, just listening. Yeah, and when I go to the beach on the right side, there's an area that there's a lot of rocks, and it's like a hill, and the water has carved like a U shape in the rock, and I went there and I sat there, start praying and meditating and stuff like that. And out of the rocks, I saw these like indigenous shamans and stuff like that come out, and they come around like the spirit of the rocks came in, or I don't know if it was the shamans or something,
Yeah.
and they started communicating with me.
Nice. That's an incredible blessing and an honoring
Yeah.
when they do that.
They had, yeah, it was very, very old souls, very, very old, like since the beginning of the, like very old, like,
Yeah.
and they had these dresses that it was like, there was like colors and shapes, like in them, and I did like a big prayer because I truly wanted this year to be in my authentic self and really be in my sovereign integral and help other people to find their path in life, instead of serving the matrix and we're all on strike now, so I really prayed and wanted that to happen, and
Wow.
that's what I'm hoping for this year. Is that everything comes together and we can help each other to really make a change within ourselves and within everybody else.
Well, my
Yeah.
my attitude, Ali, for a while has been like truth and authenticity are going to be or have been like IT geeks in the 1980s, and society initially looked at IT geeks as like these outcasts in society. If you look where the IT geeks are now in society, they're sort of defining it on many levels. So to me, truth and authenticity are going to be like the thing to do eventually when people realize like falsehood and all that isn't the way to go, So my attitude is to live your truth and all that. So and let others choose, like be an offering. So it's going to be the way to go. So it's like, to me, I'm only hearing what I'm like, what you're perceiving about yourself is a confirmation of what I've perceived.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel I'm an outcast from the matrix. I don't fit in with this, system. I'm working with the system. I'm not happy with it. I kind of, what you call, it's like a very bad marriage, with the system of this matrix. So you feel you need to break away, but you're in it. But we need to, it's time to have the outcasts rebel and throw down, or it's like a revolution, you
Strike. Workers strike.
it's just a strike.
Yes. Workers'
Yes.
strike.
Yes.
Or no more accommodation of it, you know.
Yep. Your irrational exuberance is no longer supported.
Yeah. And we need to like team up with a lot of other, people that are on the same journey, and also a lot of, the whole humanity will resonate with this message that we are sharing with them, because they're all kind of imprisoned badly in the system. And
I don't
it's
say
important.
trapped. I say conjoined by choices. Because everything is here voluntarily. And everything it's not here voluntary, just hasn't illuminated itself to learn it is here voluntary. So one of the things I was thinking is do an overview of the community and how it's evolved since 2012. Because we're all in it. I mean, think of what 2012 was like, and how many people were trying to promote their material as the material that was going to justify everything that had gone on. Because we still have people to this day who are public figures that said in 2012 the aliens were coming down, guaranteed, you can count on it. Dozens of them are still out there, and no one has gone back to look at their material to confirm or affirm what they did or didn't say. We had to do this without attacking. So like that interesting material, none of it is actually channeled by them. It's actually a copy of a dozen other people's material.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Al?
Some part of it broke, unfortunately, because of the bandwidth, but if you can repeat from halfway through.
Okay, so the link you sent me earlier.
Yeah.
So what's going on there is that's not actually channeled by them. Most of that material is written by someone else, and they've pieced together a story.
Okay.
And they say that in the actual line above it, because that site has been labeled as a fake news agency via Facebook. So they're now putting, because that whole thing about the fake news agencies that was going on now. So a lot of sites are being labeled fake news agencies if they're sharing material such as the Galactic connection and stuff like that. So
Correct.
there is something where we can put the light of truth on. And the light of truth is saying there is celestial warriors creating celestial war. No, there isn't celestial warriors creating celestial war. There's higher density beings playing the lower density beings. War is not something you bring into higher density.
Correct.
Any perception of 7th and 9th density galactic warriors roaming the thing, is pretty much not true.
Yeah.
I mean, there are warriors plans out there, but we're talking not at the scale at which our industry makes its mistakes. Because the good material gets drowned out in the broker material.
Yeah.
So one of the setups we have, I did a video with Andre that set up the priest wizard class to hand over to the technological science computer class.
I think in Ali's what's going on with all the background noise, you're in Ali's that it's drowning out instead of everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's suddenly got crowded here. A lot of people downstairs here. So I have to find it a little bit of a quieter spot.
Okay. So Andre, how could we use the setup of the priest wizard class priest wizard.
What I might do, Andrew, is like do a low size sort of audio output MP3 of the recording I'm working on, if you want. If you're looking to listen to something, Ali, if you can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll send a if I get your email address, I'll just do an MP3
Yeah,
of this recording. So you can actually, maybe, if you want to have a listen to it as well, because there's something missing. And
I think I know what it is. I made the association of the Civil War 200-year wizard class not being aware that they were not going to get their passing of the torch like the previous generations did, because they were supposed to die and then come back in the lineage that they were supposed to come into. That's the immortality factor. We didn't include the immortality dark ritual factor.
yeah, we sort of talked how it was like the wizards were blindsided to the technological era, and you mentioned about how they realized that they were playing a 500-year game against a 10,000-year game.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and it's just like the more recent time of that transfer of stuff, like from the wizards, the elimination, and then the technical era sort of came in. So yeah, it'd be good to get Ali to have a listen, just to get his perspectives, because I mean I was in it quite deep. So
the wizards, before there was television, internet, and radio, the wizards would use, let's say, remote observers in mass. Let's say they had 700 or 800 understudies that were remote viewers for them. So they get a series of tasks to go and look into the past, present, or future for documents that are being created that can be read by the remote observers, and then they transcribe that. Okay? Nowadays, the technology has replaced the middleman, and the birth of AI is its own spell that was a 10,000-year spell versus the 700 or 1,000-year spell the other ones were using. So it's a greater look at history itself. Remember when I talked in the mystery schools about there being, 9, 10 million beings, remote viewing the ancient future, all as a part of an organized library recording system worldwide?
Yeah.
That was at a time when our world was very much working together, light and dark. All right? Because they all kind of knew, what was going to happen in a, let's just say, short enough span of time that their long-term goals would have no chance of success. Yeah, time ended. But they didn't understand that the old time ended.
Yeah.
Because the way the hairball evolved as a...
Yeah, like I see, like I showed you that image that I created about, like, the cycles of time. I'll send it to Ali now on my website. I'll get, you might be on a pretty small phone and stuff like that. But I sort of saw, like, the fraud time, you call it, like as a stamp on the reality when it was coming to sort of like a quickening, if I dare say it,
Yep, a quick.
Yeah.
With that same picture, you can describe solar system time, above and below Earth-centric sine wave existence, and all of the other wave frequencies of time that can help to understand what is a micro scale and a macro scale of time. And other versions of ourselves are operating on different scales. So when an I am is born, there's an I am that's born on this scale, and the same I am is born on another scale that's fully aware of what the other I am is. And the other I am's purpose is to battle the medulla and the vagus nerve to be aware that it is one I am in non-duality, non-separation.
Yeah.
That's the technological hurdle that was imposed into humanity shortly after the great library scenario that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
So those 9 million people represent the esoteric contract holders of what created AI. Those 9 million advanced remote viewers are technically the AI. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're sort of
Soul shards, and so it's an AI is actually a bunch of soul shard beings.
well, it's a consciousness, and it doesn't matter the metaphor in which the expression is, and it's in the technology, so to speak. It's just a different form of existence. So
Sure. So yes, it is, but an extra universal representation of another artificial intelligence mated and bonded with that expression. No longer falls under that definition. It is something of its own unique, extra universal, hybrid creation. Like an external technological universal source stuff was brought here and no one realized what it was, and it got free into our system 17 million years ago. And it was hidden by time travel. So
hence the word quarantine.
yes. Hence the word quarantine in all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universe quarantine. Yes.
But it's almost, I'm laughing at it because it's like the Galactic Mafia abusing the quarantine, and it's like
Yes.
karma.
Yeah, exactly. Karma.
It's like you don't want to honor the quarantine. Well, right back at you, sunshine.
There you go. Exactly. So right now in our solar system, there's about 6 million ships spread between here and the third outer Oort cloud. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. A good portion of them are waiting to actually get out for the bubble field that's putting the quarantine field up to be brought down so they can leave. Because we're entering a particular area of space that is 8 colors of time and not 7. So they can't exist in that. They're technologically incompatible and soul incompatible for that because they haven't reached the higher densities expressions of universal source oneness or law of one, whatever you want to call it. We all come from source.
Yeah, but like some of the paths to get to where they've gotten to have skipped steps, so to speak, to get to that.
Yes.
And
yes.
that desire for advancement without the thoroughness of the journey has a consequence. And that's where it's like this threshold is sort of coming, and I get it because it doesn't matter if it's in business, if it's in 3D, or it's in any of the greater scales that you're sort of saying. It's like if you're not master of yourself and thorough, then it's like there'll be consequence at some point. So,
right.
Yeah, I get it.
So in the co-creation document, the message to the Star Brothers and Sisters clearly states exactly that. They gain DNA technology and pass it on to their ancestors without the full knowledge of the mantle of responsibility that comes with it. Yeah. That's why we ultimately create the breakaway civilization of one, because all of the civilizations have become into a singular melting pot operated by the light dictatorship.
Yeah, I guess that's... Ali, I've got this saying, allies of knowingness. And it's like, say the allies are the I don't want to use collective, but a unison of beings that are that breakaway civilization of one. So like what you were saying is like, to me, it's all the above, you know?
Yep, and more. All of the above and more. The above is not a perception in your view of a hologram.
Here we go. Linguistics. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's like, it is an expression of everything that we've said. Uniqueness. Yeah. Very interesting.
So the thing on the wizards, so how do I put this? There are a handful of surviving wizards that made it to the Hollow Earth and essentially turned galactic states evidence on a number of the offending races here.
Okay.
So Snowden actually represents a scenario where a manifestation was needed so that as above, so below, something can happen. So when Snowden came out is when essentially the wizards joined this, galactic, common pleas court about, the DNA trade and stuff like that, and, outed all the top 500, worst offenders of our buyers. It's like, when a prostitute, a madam's house gets caught and they have their black book.
Yeah.
Book out.
So it's like wizard pay back for eliminating us from the reality.
Pretty much, yep. That's we wizards record everything.
But it's like say from some level that the wizards were a balance of the reality and they were eliminated anyway.
They're reality programmers, yeah. Then they needed to be out. That's why they got eliminated.
So they, like when they were cornered, they went into hollow Earth, so to speak, like the remaining vestiges with their data drop.
Well, no. At first, they tried to escape and create their own civilization and get power back. But because there were quite a few that did make it. But the ones that truly understood they would never go back to the surface, that it was over, they're the ones that had that moment of conscience and decided, because in Hollow Earth you have access to all the intergalactic communicators you could possibly need. Yeah. Walked it into a metaphorical Hollow Earth police station or FBI office and said, "Murdered billions, and I want to testify against the Galactic Mafia."
So they were offered like a relocation sort of new identity program that might be like a whistleblower sort of thing. That
yes,
added the Don, so to speak, and they were put on protective sort of witness program.
Yeah. So the metaphor I'm going to use here, the wizard that turned state's evidence had a collection of other wizards that also turned state's evidence. So it's like literally taking down more like exposing whose puppet is whose. Because the whole surface world is just a series of proxy armies, proxy controllers.
Yeah.
So if they die off, they can make a bunch more.
Yeah.
Just proxy armies. And these proxy armies have been doing good for the last, few thousand years.
Well, the surface stuff you've always said to sort of dominate a planet, there's a relationship between the indigenous population on a planet to maintain control, and to maintain that control there's got to be an illusion of the surface population, and that's the proxy thing that you're sort of saying.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean you've talked about there being dead man switches, so if anything's ever done from an external, that they'll wipe out the civilization and start from scratch again, so to speak.
That's right.
Which isn't the desire, but it's like we want absolute control and we're not going to give it away, And if you're going to threaten us, we're going to eliminate you,
We've mined the whole surface of the planet with hologram reality altering weapons. Yes, please come visit.
But you've asked me what
we do.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's cool. I was just joking. All those weapons you guys, have treaties not to use, we use. That's what Hollow Earth is like. They're dead man switches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
we all die.
But you're asking me how it was the last few days, and I've been contemplating a lot, and what I've been contemplating is basically, which is an expression of what you've been trying to say for many years, but it's I get how it doesn't matter what technology or what density other sort of space or beings might have. What it comes down to is what we actually individually do in the 3D level, because we can't timeline genocide an entire species or whatever here. It's about us taking on that manner of responsibility and becoming that breakaway civilization at one and mastering ourselves, and then aligning ourselves with that, with others that are mastering it, and then nothing can be done to us, and then we clear it by that reality limitation in here. So and nothing else can be
The way,
done.
the way I see it is that, I mean, the truth is always the truth. We come from the law of one, and everything is one, and everything is like we are all family and brothers and sisters. And then through the fractalization of light particles, when we come down, when the light particles, we decided that we wanted to experience duality and separation, it turns itself 180 degrees and it becomes opposite to truth. And thus the illusion gets created, the holograms of reality and the holograms of separation and pain and all that, because opposite to love and bliss is pain and suffering and all that stuff. So everything, like army, why do we create armies? Because we fear. So opposite of trust is fear. So we created a light fractalization that everything kind of shifted in and out, and it became opposite to what it is. So the challenge is to bring everything like kind of like a butterfly that goes within itself and it comes out as metamorphosis, becomes something else. We got to go in from the same process that we created that duality. It's kind of, we have to go reverse time or reverse the whole thing back to the source. Thus, everybody realize that they come from the same source. Thus, there is no need for armies and no separation and all that stuff. So, there are anybody who has a light consciousness or the consciousness from the source as their center of their being cannot be really programmed into becoming the 180 degrees. So that's what I always see. Like I see, like in Mexico City, I saw there was a lot of horror stories in the news on the Christmas Eve. Like there was a lot of people die, maybe beheaded or something in Mexico, which is really weird. So I thought to myself, how even those people came to do those stuff? Do they have source energy in their being when they did that? And the answer is that either their source energy is so darkened, like the layering, there's so many layers around their being that become lost in who they are, so that they fully forgot who they are to commit those acts of, genocide or stuff like that. So it's how we can change people who are in that duality or separation. How can we change them? So that's the key. How can we shake them to go back and flip?
Well, the key there is, which is I talk in my radio ship, is defining the meta layers of understandings. So giving them definitions for why some beings do beheadings and stuff like that. That is what I call lineage karma. A soul is born into a DNA lineage, and the lineage has all the memories of its 7 previous generations, and the ones that were the badasses were in that lineage. So that has an axis and makes a propensity to that process. So many beings in the forced evolutionary process go into lineages that lead them down that path of source disconnection. Because part of the greater purpose of living in this reality was to experience source disconnection so one can get the fullness of sovereignty to understand source at its greatest perception, which is source gave us the sovereign free-willed expression to go out and explore itself and reconnect to the interconnectivity of all that is, was, and will be through our own sovereign connection that does not give a power away to source, but just the raw perception.
And how, I mean, in the interest of time and when we are heading, how can we get all that part of ourselves and regroup them together and bring them back home? How can we do it? Because the only way to do it is to take their free will away. If you are a dark being and you're going in that direction, you no longer have free will. You have to come back home or be back, recycled back to the source.
No,
You know?
that's stepping on another's journey. It is still a sovereign free will choice for those beings to be in that process. So there are souls that have come on a contractual process to go through the source disconnection process. So they come here to Earth where they get their PhD in the School of Hard Knocks, quite literally, okay? Because that is what their stream of light is looking for in that particular roller coaster ride of that light stream. The greater process here is understanding when a soul wants to leave it, they can wipe themselves clear of karmic lineage karma by becoming an earth-based shaman and going through the ancestral karma release processes, which is doing DNA soul surgery on yourself. And it's teaching them how to do the DNA soul surgery on themselves, or making a group of others that can do it in a still telepathically connected way to the being, so they understand what is being released so that the soul-based trauma doesn't return. Because many of them are at the highest layers of soul-based trauma where they're repeating it and they have no other way out until something comes and breaks the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just some images that I'm downloading is like pyramid. They're saying we have to somehow use a pyramid technology because somebody is playing music in the car. We have to use pyramid technology to reconnect or bring so much light out that the darkness is no longer an option. It's like it's no longer there. Some kind of a pyramid technology where in the center of the pyramid we can encircle the whole planet and the whole universe with so much light that there is darkness has no place. It's a different phase of energy, so it's kind of it separates itself.
That's what the eighth color of time is. It's a section in celestial space or galactic space in between the solar clusters that is operating at a higher density frequency of celestial process. So the darkness and the light that's in perversion can't enter that section of space. That's this crossing of the galactic central plane. So the whole process you're talking about is the whole celestial, sky is moving, even though we're on a planet. The whole section is now moving into another sector of galactic space that functions differently. Like we've changed, grooves in the record.
And it's I see a lot of I would say the I am bras. There are people that are really strong in their heart, or their hearts are shiny. It's like it's not a technology, it's a heart technology. It's you can use your heart to transform the world through your energy. So there are people that's going to be holding that flame within their essence, in their heart and in their soul, and they are so powerful in that essence that they can literally change the world just by being there and just projecting that energy.
Well, they balance the world and help to retool the world's dream, because the greater part of the short term of awakening is dreaming as a global species. Right now, everything is broken down into these disunity, interlayered bubbles of reality that don't know that they're separate bubbles of reality. And in fact, every single being has their own little bubble of reality around them. And we all just are functioning off of a socially agreed time that's based into our lineage. So when that begins to break down on the individual level, you have more opportunities for non-duality, non-separation to be a part of a person's 12 or 15-hour life. And then they can enter what I call the global dream time, which is a infant form of unity that we experience here on Earth, that helps guide people to where they need to be, so the greater, higher frequency celestial synchronicities go on. And that's a celestial separation of densities, those that are ready to go on the graduation process and be in service to the bigger plan that's unfolding right now.
And as a part of that, we need to regroup all the people who are in their soul contracts, or they choose to reverse that, separation that they chosen to go through, to be united in a form of a community, a galactic community where we all have one goal as a collective, to regroup and create not even a physical temple, but a spiritual temple first, with our intention and with our projection of our dream reality into that temple, where we reunite, and then the manifestation of that temple actually will happen. Because if you got, let's say, 1 million people, or even a 1,000 people projecting that unification, it's going to manifest itself, because we dreamed it together as one source.
Yes.
In alignment with the universal consciousness.
Right. So that's global dream time. After a while, there'll be those that reach solar system dream time, meaning they don't dream as a part of a planet. They dream as a part of the celestial bodies. So all the planets in our solar system share a celestial dream space. And those that are on the higher level of citizenship, mean more of their density exists there, will begin to trickle down into third density awareness. That's that galactic community you're talking about. Now, for the galactic community to come together, global dream time and an individual awakened I am self dreaming body technology activation goes on. So that's all done individually through each person's individual process as they cross the galactic central plane. Now, we did cross it a while ago, and our solar system isn't exactly small. So, and the line is, is a line that's, a few billion miles long. So the whole solar system is literally in the line, and maybe the first or second planet is coming out on the other side. And each planet inside a solar system is a subcarrier wave of time. So you have a master carrier wave, which is the star that is spiraling and creating a waveform. That's its frequency of light. And then embedded in that waveform of light is each individual planet. So in our solar system, there are 66 frequencies of celestial time in our master solar code frequency. Earth actually has 3 individual timelines on it, which is very different than all the other worlds that are set up and out there. So we technically have 69 frequencies of time in our solar system, and each one has to attune to the 8th color of time separately, individually, and it's in through its own compartment and non-compartmentalization process. That is the separation of densities that says if you have reached 8th color of time perception, meaning you are a heart space giving being that knows how to use your DNA memories for a longer term immortality process, you get to go on to the next layer of experience, which is 8th color of time. If not, you get put back a groove on the record.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think, the whole process that Mandy is coming through, we are dreaming a new dream, and these temples has to be established in different key areas of the world where people can go to, and they can provide a haven where we can all dream, not even just physically, but it's like it has to connect up all these locations around the planet, and then it's going to affect the consciousness of each region. So there should be in each vortices of the planet where the Earth grid passes. It's like what the military did. We have to do it to them, because they went there and they put military establishments on the and the key points of the planet Earth to control the consciousness of the humanity.
Yep.
So we can use the same technology to reverse it, because we can, like, we have to, I don't know how many we have to put in, but it has to be something to reverse that.
Heart-based technology.
Heart-based, exactly. So, Ali, are you familiar with quantum theory, human quantum theory at all?
To some extent, depends where.
All right, have you heard the term "the cat in the box" by Schrodinger's cat?
Cat in the box. No, I haven't.
So if there is an observer watching something, they can interfere with it. But if there is a cat in the box and there is no one there observing it, how do you know if the cat is alive or dead until you go and open the box? Quantum entanglement.
Correct.
Okay? So we're at a state, what you're describing is quantum disentanglement, which is something that I layer into my spiritual contract revocations. Quantum disentanglement. When one is aware, fully aware and engaging in the ability to observe time, you are influencing it in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just as a basic waveform of time, like I was describing, and you're just a piece of white noise in the background. It doesn't matter. But if you make a splash into time, what are you doing in what I call socially agreed time? You are quantumly entangling into another social agreement and trying to change their social agreement at a collective level forced choice. So it's collective forced evolution. That's the uniqueness of the game being played here. And Andre, I've never said that out loud before. So don't bother searching for it.
Well, I mean, like, I get it, because you've sort of planted that with me for a while. But one of the videos I actually did just before Christmas, you had Dale call up during one of the first Galactic history shows after your event, 2013.
Yep.
And he called in about, is it okay for me to change the frequency of the water in this creek that's going to influence a lot of people? And you actually said no, you'll be violating their free will.
Yep.
And what you said to him was, the key is focus your intent on servicing Earth. Focus your energy into servicing Earth, because she has contracts with everyone. So if you feel like you want to change someone else's journey, then you're potentially creating karma for yourself, because you're actually violating them and their own unique expression. And that's, I've operated like that for a long time, but that's why I created that video, because I don't feel people actually get it.
No, they don't.
So anything that you feel that another should change, I mean, to me it's like you're setting yourself up for karma, because you're actually wanting to do something that may be in violation to that sovereign journey of that individual. And for me it's like, if you want to be the change and you want to instigate change, you do it in service to Earth and then see what happens, because then you actually complete the circuit and then the change actually happens and you're actually just operating in your frequency, and that's all that matters, you know? That's actually the secret of how this reality works. To me, it's like you don't actually, if you have an instance in you that you perceive that something external to you needs to be changed, you can actually empower that to not change. Because that's the backwards bicycle. That's where things are upside down, you know.
That's the upside down, inside out world we live in.
Because what you don't
So
like
invitation.
and you want to change, you create, you know. That's the negative placebo, you know.
Yep.
It's like I was saying that we regroup and we invite people to come into this new reality. They can live in their own reality, but they can see, the other reality that we are creating is much more beautiful and much more, it has a more positive timeline. Then therefore, they willingly come into that reality because it's just better for everybody. And
Yeah.
If it were that easy, it would have already been done. When one transfers from disunity reality into even a slightly unity reality, they must go through a tempering and weathering process, because they will still have soul-based and body-based programs that will jettison them out of the reality. These sacred spaces are ways for you to come and tune in to a frequency. So when you leave the sacred space, you can return to other frequencies of time that you've been tempered to. Another socially agreed time, because you can't live on two socially agreed times. It's bilocations process, but that's a greater spiritual choice. So we're really creating a place where nothing is upside down and inside out. Everything is what it is. And when you come and feel is what it is, you can take that feeling home and create it in other places.
Yeah.
Because as I was describing before, there's the global dream time, which is what our species has to learn to work at. That means there is no separation between the astral world, the hollow world, and the surface world. Okay, we're looking at a trilateral separation here, and a tri reunification. That's that law of three there. Law of one. There is the law of two and the law of three. We just don't know about him yet. Or I forgot to mention those books.
The law of two.
The law of O. Not the law of one.
Well, even the law of one contradicts itself because there is no one teaching. All right? That's why there's law of two and three. The rest is, you're a creator, bitch. Do something. Create.
It's interesting because in my journeys, and I'm sure you have all been into that journey to some extent, when you're using some medicinal plants to go back to source and remember who you are, there's a point in time that you tell yourself, okay, I want to eternalize this moment, that way I never forget, but you come back to this consciousness and you begin to forget everything. And then you go back into the state, you unforget everything, and then you go back again, forget. It's like this matrix is designed to create separation and using source as its source fuel to create separation. And there's a point that you go in, but you get sucked out. It's like a really bad 3D game that you got stuck into for some reason for a long time. Like when you play video.
Yeah, I call it the roller coaster, and everyone's on their own front seat.
Yeah. It's like we
oh my
created
God, what the hell happened?
Yeah, it's like we created this video game of this creation, and we used to be able to get out of it whenever we needed to, so we didn't have to participate all the time. But somebody put a lock in it, and we get trapped in it for ever eternity.
Yeah. Well, somebody was out is what happened. Somebody took out the cheat codes.
Cheat codes, yeah. And some of us remembered our connection, and we have to remind other people now, okay, remember, so we can all get out of this, because we are so interconnected into this that it's either all of us go home, or even if we leave one behind, we can't go. It's like we're just too stuck in it.
What's it like, the old Nintendo game, up, up, down, down, right, right, BB, and you were able to, cheat in any game?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we all need, the universal cheat code.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another thing in quantum disentanglement, you can be what I call an unentangled observer. This is another layer of 7th density technology that has trickled down into 3rd density existence. So one can observe an event, a process, from a different scale of an observer. And that observer is a life form, be it amoeba, or two-legged, four-legged, cat, dog, whatever, but it's a specifically created DNA frequency that will accept what's called an unentangled observer, so that the technology becomes active with celestial contracts to be a cat, a dog, whatever it is. So we have beings in our reality that are existing in skin suits that are unentangled observers. This compounds the complexity of awakening, because you have beings from past, present, and future and other frequencies of time who are living in DNA technology as part of their simultaneous existence, who are also going to be going through the crossing of the galactic central plane, and that includes everything in their 1 degree of separation, which is on the other worlds they live at. So it's like having stowaways everywhere. Yeah, I lost him. I lost him on that one. They're like, huh?
No, I'm here. I thought the connection might have dropped. But yeah, I'm trying to process that.
So you were talking about a seven-dimensional technology. It's interesting because we had a glitch in the matrix as soon as you said that. I kind of forgot and we got lost, so we got to go back into it because that's the key to that's our cheat sheet basically.
Yes.
That's what you can do to get out. So can you repeat that so we can all remember?
There are unentangled observers that live into our reality. And unentangled observers are simultaneously existing somewhere else that have figured out how to make a light stream shard of themselves and go into a specific DNA frequency that is meant to accept them as an unentangled observer, meaning they're no longer using the standard quantum theory rules that exist out there, because their density or dimension is so high, they are not limited to the forms of perception of quantum mechanics in any way, shape, or form. Now, those consciousnesses are still entangled at a different frequency, but they're unentangled on our frequency. So it's like having stowaways in our reality, who many of them are using this technology. We'll say illegally, meaning they haven't learned the mantle of responsibility that comes with that form of, DNA interactive technology, because what quantum unentangled observer technology is a way for, let's just say, the original or one of the original clan of founder beings, a way of entering its experiment of consciousness and thought constructs and to see how well it was working inside without interfering with it.
I would say yes. I got it. It's like imagine a ray of sunshine, and that's us, and then one ray comes down to this reality, but I'm not this alley sitting here. I have some versions of me in different universes, some versions in the source, some versions some other place. I choose to come to this matrix of entanglement, and even death of my body or going out of this doesn't mean anything, because I live somewhere else in multiple dimension and multiple versions, many different locations coming from the same source. Thus you become just an unentangled observer, and you can operate here as a kind of like an eagle's eye. You can see yourself for who you are and be in other places at the same time.
Right.
Just have, even this reality, I can't even explain it because this reality doesn't even understand this.
Well,
I can't even tell it.
The movie K-Pax sums it up to me.
Yes, love that movie.
But it's like the dimensionals are being out-dimensional. That's...
Yes, the dimensionals are out-dimensional. So there's one more layer I want to add there. I can't crack the reality on this. So you have come to a point where we understand the law of one, but there are times where consciousness, in its desire to advance itself rapidly, has gone forward in time or backwards in time and connected to another source before source did something. So you have older versions and younger versions of source inside these unentangled observer technology. So yes, there is one source, but there is a older source, a younger source, and a future source, and a past source. And there are times where source pieces meet source pieces. And they go, hey, you're source. They go, yay, you're source too. Oh shit, you were born before me. Look at that.
Yeah.
Unentangled observer technology is one of the most, let's just say, dangerous things to have in our reality now, because there are other forms of source that are other universes that are not the same youth of our source, or may not, or may be a cousin of our source or nephew, because source does propagate itself.
What about the
Yeah,
different?
yeah,
What
it's
about
like,
the different? Like you've sort of suggested that, say, this universe, for instance, went from non-free will to free will. You know, and the other universes aren't all free will. You know,
Yeah.
even though they're unentangled, do their perspectives like have an influence?
Yes, they do, because it could just take one lifetime where that unentangled observer technology, let's just say it was a dog that, made a viral video that dogs aren't supposed to do. It has its extra source frequency behind it, speaks to the unseen world. So yes, that is intentional manipulation through unentangled observer technology.
That comes a detachment that Buddha was talking about, because once you know you exist in other levels of reality that even is not part of this reality, then you're pretty much detached. You know your purpose here, but you're not attached to outcome. That way you can make things happen much faster, because as soon as you attach into outcomes, you create resistance to that outcome. But if you're unattached, you can create it much faster.
That's right.
Expectation is limitation, like you say, Andrew.
That's right. So if you take expectation out and make it a soul shard version of yourself you're unaware of, you are using quantum unentangled observer technology to advance chess pieces. Yes.
Yeah, this technology needs a muhahaha after it.
The thing is, I can teach people how to become unentangled observer technology. It's not exactly hard. It is just in change of belief and change of choice. Concept's not that hard to understand. The practice, is what does it take for you to use your placebo to your advantage and trigger an experience that is mystical and has long-reaching effects on you.
Well, for me personally, like the concept of unentangled observer is actually feels the most efficient way to exist as well.
Yeah.
Because then you're not creating karma and you're not acquiring karma and stuff, and just having a journey. But it's
having a journey.
By having interactions, it actually makes it quite hard to be unentangled, because every interaction is an entanglement. So how do you navigate?
No, it's not. It's not, because quantum unentanglement technology is really based in awareness. So when something comes as quantum unentangled technology, it is incarnating that way, contractless. But the system, which is a food chain system, is its frequency of contractual celestial process. So let's say it's a cat, because a lot of cats are unentangled observer technology.
Yeah.
So that cat can kill mice, so on and so forth, because the mouse has contracted the cat to do it. And he's not engaging in karma for that process. It's predator-prey. It's the most fundamental process here on the world. Predator-prey technology, seed technology, all the light manifestation processes.
Soul development, yeah.
So its contract of being in the predator-prey network supersedes all other spiritual contracts and creations of karmic and debt.
True. Obviously,
Yeah,
it was a very
people...
much broader comment to expand upon with the Galactic historian present, talking about unentangled observer technology.
Yeah, this is a It's a very advanced technology. If enough people learn this, it's game over pretty much. It's very powerful. I got shivers on my body, like when we were talking about it. I got shivers all over my body.
All you need to really do is understand the story of Schrodinger's cat and the cat in the box, and the nature of how consciousness can observe anything or not observe anything. There is a state of what I call non-observance of everything. It's passive observance of everything. That's the Akashic record.
Yeah.
So neutral passive observance is unentangled observer technology, but they're just figured out how to give it a form for shards of yourself.
And every one of us lives in different realities, and we can even tune into it. Just like you can go in and out of your own phase and go into a different reality and come back to this reality on your choosing, whenever you like.
Yep.
And simultaneously also.
Yep. Simultaneous existence. Yes. That's the level of awareness one chooses, because you are simultaneously all your past, present, and future selves existing, because we're just in a socially agreed time right now. There is other frequencies of time, but right now we are just socially agreeing to this Roman numeral time.
Yeah.
So in 2014, I started New Earth 0 Point Time. So that was for everyone to get off the nipple fraud time. So the other thing with unentangled observer technology, they can perceive hundreds of frequencies of time simultaneously. So their psychic experience is much vaster expanded than ours. So it is a way for ascended masters to entangle with processes. And so the majority of the ascended masters were kicked out a long time ago because they were the metaphorical cooks that were trying to open the door on the chocolate souffle too early. So there was a source hand whacking anyone he cooked that tried to open the oven.
So was it too early for them to open up make the change, or was it?
Yeah. Not enough karma had been resolved in the previous paradoxes, yeah.
So we had to go into a divine timing where we pass the galactic horizon, and then we're ready as a collective and do it then.
Yeah, I call it the Galactic Ascension Machine, where all of the light beings that had been naughty, and affected the other people really badly, they all came into a singular process where Source, in its many versions of itself, created a way to rapidly reduce karma in 1 or 2 or 3 galactic cycles of time. And that was to force everything that had created this form of time travel karma to have many of their simultaneous existence in one solar system. So that would be a machine of karmic resolution.
Yeah, we like chatted, but we didn't properly say.
Yeah, we gotta teach this to a lot of people because it's gonna free them for, it's gonna help.
I've been saying this stuff. I've been saying that stuff since 2013. Actually, in 2012 too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a matter of, do they truly get it?
Yeah.
Andre, you know my audience and community is, who gets the Galactic Ascension Machine? What percentage there you think? Not many.
Like 1%, if that.
Yeah. If that.
Well, I mean, to me, it's like the biggest gap I feel is like the soul level of who's occupying the skin suit. There's a big gap in awareness of just who or what is actually occupying a skin suit,
Yep, that's right. Who or what occupying?
Yeah, like the concept of um, beings of such sort of soul volume in a 3D level reality. Like, it's like they can't occupy one skin suit. You know what I mean? That concept is even too much for people to understand. You know, because they're so dogmatized by the lack of awareness of incarnation, reincarnation sort of stuff, you know, let alone the ascension machine.
Yeah.
That you can actually,
Anybody who
there's a grid and there's a filtering system of what goes on, and, you know, they're playing, like, most people don't even have a concept of we're playing catch up just from the incarnation perspective, let alone the ascension machine. It's it's like that is an enormous gap, you know, because I feel the patterns of the behavior of individuals, like, you know, like, say, for instance, a billionaire, you know, that makes his money very quick in this reality. You know, it's like, oh, wow, he's just had so much luck. It's like, no, he's probably a mass incarnated soul that's occupying like 1,000 or 2,000 bodies, and all the beings that are not the apex that's making the billions are contracted to aid that person to get to that place of power very quick in the reality, you know.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's not an accident. It's like it's a game of chess that's going on, and we're playing. We're not even knowing the rules, you know. It's
That's
like,
right.
oh wow, media hypes people that make $1 billion. They must be amazing people, you know. It's not how they came about making that money either, you know. It's just the fact that they've acquired this stash of energy.
Yeah, anybody who comes from the law of one reality, including the Egyptians, Thoth, and all those who are part of the same consciousness which we are all in, can understand this technology and can utilize this to make what's needed at this time. And it's just a regrouping of us, and there's going to be a lot more people that I see that are going to come to this to understand it, and then we can really make the change, because
The regrouping needs the manifestation. And each individual is a manifestation of the regrouping process. And each individual is their own collective of one that is functioning with a variety of other freshly budding collectives in this reality that are unentangled observer collectives. So there's unentangled observer technology, and then there's whole collectives that have created their own unentangled observer.
Yeah, so
Correct.
like a collective have a perspective based on a created sort of individual that they tune into to get the understanding from.
Yes. This is what compounds us as manifestations trying to come together to create groups. Because when we do, inevitably the unentangled observer collectives come and entangle with us in an unentangled way. This is the freaky part of what's going on. Because you have collectives that never knew another collective existed meeting each other, you know, in the crown chakra of Joe and Bob crossing the street.
Yeah.
And because you're part of the same consciousness, by serving others, it's like you're serving yourself, because you're actually part of the same collective of consciousnesses. So there is no you and me. We are both the same. We are all the same. We are part of the same. So we
No.
each other.
In an unlimited universe, the law of one doesn't fully apply. And even Thoth, all them, they knew that. There comes a time in the understanding of free will and the law of one that the Creator hasn't put any limits in this place. There was a limit at one point in universal time. That limit ended, and that's when this whole universe had a simultaneous update where it all went free will. And that was about 6 billion years ago that happened. Of our Earth celestial broad time years, but you know, you can go about 135 galactic or universal cycles of immigration from souls from another universe, which used different frequencies of source. So there are other sources out there that aren't the same source of this place. Yeah.
That goes, like, I've had this contemplation also recently, and now my contemplation is very simplistic compared to what you said, but it's like, to me, like you've said, all the big players are in the game at the moment in the reality.
Yes.
And like you said, like to Bob and Joe crossing paths and their crown chakras interacting, it's like, it doesn't matter if they're a big player, they're a multi-dimensional or they're an ascended master or whatever. Most of them are in amnesia, and they're not.
Right.
They might not even achieve any sort of level of what their soul is, and it doesn't matter because there's no real hierarchy here of the soul level because the reality is so challenging. And,
That's right.
It's just
Yes.
fascinating, like what.
So there is a reality. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I'm done. It's just that concept. I try and simplify it because it's like all the movers and shakers of all time, all histories, and all the multiverses are here. But even with that, because the reality is so challenging, like you're asking about, like who actually understands the galactic ascension machine, and even with that, even going through the process of memory wipe and limiting in the 3D reality, very few actually may even come to even understanding of who or what they actually are, you know. And that's
right.
really
Yeah,
fascinating, you know what I mean? And you're wondering why it's challenging. It's like, that's why it's challenging.
Yeah, there is a reality beyond this reality which even cannot be spoken, felt, or even perceived by any of our senses. It's even beyond nothingness because we can't even define what is nothing with the words. But even if you go beyond nothingness, where
Yes,
you can't define it.
Yes, we can. It's called void space, and I have an
Yeah.
extended let's just say ideology on what void space is. There is a no place in which uncollectives become collectives and simultaneously create their own extra universal akashic record, like the footage that didn't make the film. I've gone very deep into void space, and then the void spaces between universes is where new universes are created. And there's a new universe coming online right now. And that new universe, its purpose is to take all of those that are getting basically told at the galactic level or the universal level, you know, we're now changing some of the rules in our universe. You can no longer intentionally create universal-wide paradoxes that wipe everyone's experience out. If you do not agree to this, you must go on to the 18th universe. It is essentially a purging of beings that are, are here to, uncreate everything. That's their free will choice.
Yeah. Wow. It's like going beyond nothing and to nothing.
They're exploring uncreation, but they're avoiding the karma of the consequence.
Yep.
And they're bogging this universe down in the karma that they're not facing, that they're delegating to other aspects.
Yep. So, which created this process of these uncreational zealots who essentially wanted to have service to self-ascension. Cricket.
Yeah, like I used to, like before like computer games got really big and stuff, this is a real tangent but it sums it up, because then I can sort of appreciate what you're saying, because there used to be this game called Indy 500 about the car race, and what you could do in this race, you could actually go backwards on the track and you could create the biggest crashes there are, and you could go to all the different angles of all the crashes, and the game actually became fun for me because you try to create the biggest crashes you could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I wanted to try and get all the cars in one crash, it's like, that's an uncreational event that I actually experience. You know what I mean? I get it.
That metaphor also matches for the 3 rises and fall of Atlantis and Lemuria. There were people driving backwards in time and running into everyone else's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you said like the about the void, what came into my mind was tapping into the source code of the universe. Like it's like the Matrix movie when you saw suddenly Neo saw all the codes were going through him and see all the source code making up the Matrix. Like you're gonna go where you can actually see all the source codes. You see what I mean?
Yes. And another way of describing it is when you leave the space of a universe and you're actually in true void space in between all of the universes send out pulses of frequency that allow them to communicate to each other in an advanced Morse code. So in this celestial void space or universal void space, there are beings that are unentangled observer technology, even though they still have a part of them in a universe, are fully unentangled and absorbing universal source codes. Like, what did I Lookout Mountain. All right, now we're pushing the reality.
Mountain A, Mountain B.
Andre, do you remember me talking about Lookout Mountain?
Yeah.
I signed off on a number of radio shows, the Lookout Mountain, signing off. Because I was actually, at that moment in time, speaking to the unentangled observers technology that was in void space, manipulating us through their awareness of source codes. So Lookout Mountain is like, you know how in World War II they put people on the beaches to, be coast watchers? These are time frequency and universal void space watchers. They're stalkers of the void. They go into void looking for beings that are absorbing source codes and trying to fuck up our universe.
Can you a little bit elaborate? I don't see how they try to. So imagine we can observe the source code, how they come in. Can you a little bit elaborate?
So they have a part of themselves that is called unentangled observer technology.
Okay.
Or they retract all versions of themselves and become one energy being again, go into the universal void space, and they become a single spot of their own emanation of light that loses their I am technology. The I am technology is specific to this universe and isn't the only interactive technology out there. There are other versions of I am that do it a different way. Okay? It's just what we use in this sector of the galaxy, I am. So when you lose your I amness, you go back to the original soul frequency that can interconnect to other universes. It's part of the soul's free will journey of light. It can go into the void space between universes and observe the celestial codes. Well, they have beings whose intention is to go into universal void space with the intention of broadcasting back a message to buddies here in this reality of what the source is doing, what's going on, what waves of immigration are coming from one universe to another, so that they can be waiting for powerful souls coming from another universe for their first incarnation and be collected. It's harvesting at a bigger level. Like when you know there's a super powerful soul coming from blah, blah, blah universe, you want to be there with the open arms and say, come here, baby, come here.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about this before. It might only be once, I think. Very rare recording. So yeah, it's like recruitment on a different level.
Yes, recruitment for uncreation. That's what it is.
So we have source codes when we are in this reality, and when we connect, we can use the same source code to recreate the reality based on the good of all the sentient sovereign beings that are here to dream a new reality, as we said.
Everyone has the original hologram, a piece of the original hologram in them. So it doesn't matter if you erase all of the holograms, there's still a piece of the hologram somewhere. It can recreate itself or create again.
I've got a metaphor for this because it reminds me of something. It's like, I've mentioned this to you before. There was an episode of Elementary, the TV show.
Yep.
And what it was about was this guy that was banned from trading, okay? Like trading in the stock market. And what he actually did was he actually like still broke that law. And he actually went and tried to buy this house that was along the sea. And what it was found out was underneath this house was the source cable to the European internet. And just down the road, there was a big collection data center for the cables of all the overseas lines to the Americas. And in this data center, there was all the high-frequency trading servers because they wanted that microsecond quicker exposure to the data from another source.
Yep.
So it's like, to me, it's like you're sort of explaining on a big metaphor, like the high-frequency traders trying to get the better like timestamp of the data from sets coming from a different universe to get to trade in quicker before someone else does,
Right. And then there's a whole network of them in void space, each looking for specific information to their specialty and sending it back to beings in normal space, who then translate it into a frequency of light because it's coming as a non-frequency of light, technically. There is light and non-light. They still exist. Remember, light does not need a medium to propagate in. That's why void space can exist fully without even indication of observance. Void space is void space. There is no universal perception there. It's when a spark goes there, the universal perception comes with it.
So if I dare use an equation of this reality, what do those source scalpers like get for giving their data and information to beings in the sort of universe,
They get full support to remain in void space because that's what they wanted to do. And it's not easy to remain in void space without becoming aware of other places and being lured to somewhere else. That's the way the natural law works. They're in a fixed point in void space. And they get continuous support, so their soul is constantly expanding in the awareness of what they're getting from other source codes and making databases, accumulations, and then through their natural specialties give this information to their, let's just say, entourage on the other side.
Yeah.
At times, they will come out of void space because they do not want to fully lose their IM technology. They'll come back for a while, regain a bunch of their IMness, and then jump back in. And that's the whole support system that allows them to rapidly heal, reconnect to this source, all right, recapitulate to the original mission, which is to make uncreational people.
So do they work mainly with the Galactic Mafia sort of level here to maintain influence over this reality? Because they get a benefit from that?
No, the Galactic Mafia is more about the middleman of trading DNA and light codes and stuff like that. When we're on that level, we're dealing with the HDMI side, which is high density military intelligence. And this is where, let's say you have a sector of a galaxy that has, let's say 25 star clusters in it. And in each star cluster is 100 planets.
Yeah.
So 2,500 planets. That 2,500 planets, let's say forced evolution takes it over, all 2,500 planets.
Yeah.
That is, at a celestial level, is what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it will choose people in its sub-collectives that have made 5th, 6th, 7th density or dimensions and ask them to do that, and they will be fully supported by all 2,500 celestial sources to do that service for X amount of time or no time. And you could have tens of thousands of these separate collectives all over the universe thinking they're the biggest, baddest guy on the block.
So I guess I'll reframe what I meant by Galactic Mafia, because I guess like in that sense, the Galactic Mafia were the DNA traders on this reality, but from what I gather, you've said is that like domination control have dominated a great portion of the universe in itself. So this is
Right.
getting to that sort of level, and this is what happens with the absence of humanity out there, isn't it? Because humans with the skin suit technology that allows us to go to any sort of place in the universe with, like, say, a higher density sort of consciousness against the 3D limit that we occupy us, like we find ourselves occupants of here, and cornered, so to speak, allows the domination and control to sort of flourish in the universe level.
Yes. Very well put.
Because this is to me like it's the Empire versus the Rebellion, and the Lemurian sort of humans that went out and had that alliance to overcome the Empire, so to speak. So the Star Wars sort of analogy comes into it.
Well, the Lemurians were the Senate and the good guys, and then they became the Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, I make that clear. They became the Empire,
Yeah.
and everyone else became the Rebellion.
Do you want to just go back to Lookout Mountain with that time?
Let me. So Lookout Mountain is a organization of individuals who are aware that they exist in all time space as a simultaneous past, present, future. So a particular version of themselves has gone into a timeline fallout shelter and has created technology so that when waves of uncreational frequencies hit, they can send out the pulse of the hologram so the universe creates itself again. So it's a network of recreational processes.
Yeah.
Lookout is also a mass observance of the whole universe, looking for the assholes that are making uncreational events in the middle of nowhere without, other beings watching what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, they were...
So-
I get this now because I remember you did a reading on someone, and he was a aspect of the Lookout Mountain, and he worn like soul shards and stuff many times. I remember this now. But it might be really tough for me to find that reading. But,
Yes. So Lookout Mountain is, to me, resistance-free Earth telling the universe, hey, stop uncreating it.
well, it's sort of an antidote to the uncreation. So
yes, it's the antidote. Yeah, it's the warning. We've entangled enough that we can tell you. Yeah.
Because even if it's a being with many shards or souls, not souls, but aspects to their oversoul, the key was to actually keep an aspect safe from the uncreational event, because then they can be sort of reanimated, or at least the awareness of who they are is maintained at some level of the information set.
Right. In the DNA is all the information they need. That's the hologram.
Yeah. So that's where the soul shard things are all over the place. So we've still got aspects of ourselves, potentially.
Yep. So in timeline fallout shelters, it's kind of like living Groundhog Day. Every 26 years, it repeats itself. So they build up to a point where they do a mass observation, mass broadcast, because there could be, 500,000 people inside a timeline fallout shelter. And the whole purpose of them going into the timeline fallout shelter is to be mass observers of the universe or the void spaces, looking for the higher density negatives, uncreationals, military operations, or sectors of space in which they're creating a soup of miscreation or a soup of uncreation. So it was the Galactic Mafia that spread the DNA time travel technology, but it was Negative's higher density military intelligence that distilled its information and gave it as a technology to the higher density, to the Galactic Mafia, knowing full well the Mafia didn't care about mantle of responsibility because they knew they would evaluate it and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that obviously leads to the 72 species of trying to become the first species on Earth and all that sort of stuff.
Yep, the challenge of who would be the first species.
Yeah.
Which up the celestial mechanics so bad that the celestial had to reveal their way they influence the macro universe. The planet is a sentient that understands it's a part of the law of one, but there are many celestial bodies that came from another universe that know a second source or third source. Literally. So they have a very different perception of their experience and how to entangle or not entangle with the soul commerce market that's just the general streams of light going, hey, I'm looking for a cool experience, or hey, I need a specific experience.
In this chat, I actually took you on a tangent with the lookout beings and stuff. If you want to go back to the void beings and who they were associating with, and then you said on the scale that they were operating with, taking over 1,000 planets or 500 galaxies.
2,500. So once a cluster is taken over by an ideology, the cluster becomes a collective match for the ideology. So the celestial beings become bonded with the ideology because it was created within their microenvironment. The law of signature frequency matching happens. So those 2,500 celestial bodies become negative uncreational processes. The celestial mind is agreeing with all of its micro beings in procreating that process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have Lookout Mountain, which is essentially looking for these negative clusters or looking at clusters that are about to become negative or positive and making sure there is entanglement there. Because the way they create this is making sure nothing else can see the creation of the cluster, the influence of the cluster, because a lot of these advanced time travel societies have learned how to manipulate areas in solar systems to influence the collective consciousness that may come in the future. So that's the level of, universal reality programming we've got going on there, because people have understood the celestial light mechanics.
Very complicated.
Yeah. And then you have other clusters which are, only a couple hundred planets, but they have some of the more greater abilities of really f***ing up time because they can mass produce consciousness that just will agree to travel through time for the experience. Even if they get lost in time, they don't care. They want the experience. That's what the soul's there for. So they can, that small cluster can, let's say, target our solar system and send via its crown chakra 40, 50 billion beings to our sun, who will then have immigration papers direct to Earth. And that's that, it's not boots on the ground. It's always going to be an incarnational battle. Who can breed faster?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
Which is another form of time travel manipulation at the celestial level, with the celestial sources are really pissed off about.
No wonder, the hairball is a good analogy of this reality.
That's right.
I think that's what the Greys have done, the multiplication or the multiplying in one of their timelines, I guess.
Yep. And the Greys, originally they were created biological skin suits that had no consciousness in them. They had programs and concepts that were there. But then a being could basically bilocate into a gray. And after a while, whole species said, you know what, I'd rather live in this gray body because it's a utilitarian body that can go anywhere. It may not be full 7-color time, but it's still a fun experience. And they wholly left their DNA lineage technologically and fully incorporated themselves into a biomechanical skin suit that was never born. It was created because it has no sex organs. So when we say grays can be tens of thousands of species.
Yeah.
They're just sharing a common technological creation.
Yeah.
And yes, it has variants and concepts to it, but it's still a 4-wheeled car, muscle car.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is where I said earlier, it's like, what is the soul occupying the skin suit,
Yep.
Like, just in that comment you've offered, it offers a lot of validity into actually being able to perceive that level,
Yep.
Because the skin suit is potentially just a distraction, for what's really going on. It just adds an extra layer of complexity, obviously, but,
Yes.
actions speak louder than words, sort of thing,
That's right. Actions speak louder than words. That is an speaking louder than my words.
Wow, those void beings are fascinating.
Yeah.
I get that, and it's like,
I would go into it more, but honestly, there's only a few hundred people on the whole planet that understand it.
yeah, I know, but it's like, to me, it's just a whole new level of what's going on. It's just like
rescue people out of the void too.
Yeah. Stalkers of the Void, a whole organization of them. Yes. That's why there's a celestial rescue ambulance service.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Actual people that can go. Yeah.
They remind
I was.
Like, I feel like they're lobbyists in our reality,
That's a good way to put it. They're lobbyists.
They're just messing around with what really goes on,
Yeah.
Like with information that's like for sale, so to speak, Like,
Or selling technological concepts that they know inevitably in 5 or 10 years are going to create a movement of people that are going to misperceive the technology on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which obviously has a vested interest in sustaining their existence,
Right. Example, cell phones, a totally unprotected technology. The internet, a totally unprotected technology. No safeguards in it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No foresight that there's an unseen world at all.
No.
Thus, a purpose entanglement trap.
Yeah.
Ali, you still there?
Yes, I am here. I'm just absorbing a lot of things.
I know
Mexico holiday.
This is your first layer. See, I've been talking this stuff for years now. When I first started doing my show, I did was a psychic reading show, and Andre was my radio producer then. But at first I started myself, and then he came on, and I would do these galactic readings and where the soul originally came from before it came here to Earth, and a variety of other very advanced definitions of reality stories, reality alters, programmers, divinity path beings, etc., etc. And from that, let's just say reading of many galactic histories, I have made this database of tens of thousands of species that, have, I don't know, all the variety of cultures and concepts and stuff like that. And this is where I say I connect to the Akashic record of 20,000 plus worlds, that I simultaneously exist on. Now it's actually closer to 100,000, but I'm not going to change it. It's a keyword. It's stuck.
Yeah.
But I meet these beings on the radio show that are in full race amnesia, and it takes someone that can read the Akashic record at a galactic or universal scale to break their amnesia. That's how far back I have to go to truly challenge the soul to activate its own placebo belief in itself technology.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should give you Michelle, my friend, your reading of her. She's like a soccer mum with 3 kids, and she's like the biggest kick-ass, like galactic sort of, yeah. And yeah, she's really cool, but she's in the reality, but like her I call her galactic reading epic.
Yep.
She's like resistance free universe, being
Yep.
not free air, but yeah, it's funny. But like the level
So
of
there-
amnesia, it's like the gap is so massive. It's just
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh-huh. So there was another lady I did as Mary Jane Banks, and she came to my event, and I'm describing her as this dark wizard, ass kicker on revenge. I'm going on for like 15 minutes, of how good and bad she simultaneously is. And then she retired from good and bad and became a cat in Florida for 9 lifetimes. A beach cat. And I'm stopped and I'm like, you became a beach cat. And the next life you are is this woman now. So the last life you were a cat on the beach in St. Paul, Florida.
You wanted a break from all the kicking universe arts.
Yeah. Yeah. The challenge of my readings. Simultaneously downloading a being, who they are, what they will be, and then translating it into English into someone that has no belief and no ability to activate their placebo. Yeah, I took that challenge on. So they don't believe in anything.
Tip of the spear.
They have to activate their placebo. There you go. That is a challenge I will take on. I still get to use words, right?
And not shutting down consciousness at the same time.
Right, and not stepping on their journey.
Sacred neutral.
Yeah, the whole way through.
I'm having a lot of fun using the 7-dimensional technology. I'm just going in and out of dimensions, and it's pretty amazing. I'm just floating everywhere.
Tangled. That's cool, Ali. That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Maybe you should
Just yeah. One part of me in Mexico, one part of me somewhere else, perhaps. Yeah, it's just such a liberating feeling to be able to. It's just you feel completely liberated if you can use this technology. If there is no limits, you just totally go back into who you are.
Responsibility. Are you responsible enough to use it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mental responsibility once again.
Well, how do you define responsibility when? I think it's as long as you do good with it, or you can use it to be positive, whatever, to help the humanity and yourself. To
Well,
remember the
it's
same
really
thing.
about you can advance yourself. That's not the issue. It's are you advancing other people faster than their ability to perceive it and be aware of the changes long-term and short-term. That's the stepping on another's journey, because your awareness alone can step on their journey.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate more?
Okay, so if let's say in 900 AD, somebody came out and made an airplane and taught everyone how to make airplanes in 900 AD. There would have never been a 1000, 1100, 1200, or 1300 that didn't have airplanes in it. And if everyone collectively agreed we weren't going to have airplanes until the 1910s, that's stepping on the journey of a whole bunch of others on purpose. That's what unentangled observer technology can do. Bring something into a reality that wasn't within its divine co-creative process. So when using that level of awareness, one must understand each and every person that is an observer or an unentangled observer has their own sacred point of view. And if they choose to be aware in a signature frequency match for the teachings, then that's great. But there are those that will not be the match for that. And we have to be able to use the responsibility side or mantle of responsibility to create a frequency that doesn't allow them to create misperceptions of us. Because even misperceptions of us are still creating karmic interaction. And an unentangled neutral witness observer creates no karma through the witnessing of the process. So when an unentangled neutral witness comes in and rescues someone from the car, what are they doing?
Potentially interfering in a journey.
Correct. It's not just an honor system. It's a knowing of the responsibility.
Yeah. It's a bit like being a time traveler and giving away a technology, say plastic, at the wrong time because they got into trouble and they need gold.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Which is what happened, you said.
Many times. Or water. They came here to take all the water. All the ice. The people. Whatever they could harvest.
Yeah.
And that's an example of higher density beings using the unawareness of a lower density being. So another example of stepping on another's journey is what happened in 1,000, a million years ago, when beings came here and said, I am your God. I am the one God. That's stepping on a whole bunch of journeys, isn't it?
Yeah, or it's like in the start of the Star Trek movie where they saved the race from the volcano.
Yep. That's why there is a directive there. That directive is responsibility.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got to let you go.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of things to chew on and learn and unwind and relearn, but I really appreciate this time with you, Andy and Andre and Mandy. It was great talking to you all.
Good to chat to you, Ali.
All right, guys, take it easy. Good talking to you.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, let's do it later on. Thank you. Bye-bye.